Hello, how you doing? Mike Bradley here. Hope you are doing well as always. Jimi Hendrix, ladies and gentlemen. James Marshall Hendrix. What a legend. What a guy. He truly, never mind ripped up the rule book, he created the rule book of what is contemporary 21st century electric guitar, well, guitar in general, you know. He really was and is a special person. You know what I mean? The things that guy does, you know, if you're watching this, you know who Jimi Hendrix is. You know the legendary status of the man. And so in this video, in this series, what I've learned from today we're doing what I've learned from Jimi Hendrix. And I want to talk and show you some little things I picked up from the great man. And at the beginning of the video, you would have seen me play a la Hendrix, me doing my little tip of the hat to Jimmy. And I suppose, you know, if we jump straight in there, the big thing, what I always heard and what I got from Jimi Hendrix was that rhythm lead guitar playing where you're doing two things at once, you know. That idea. I remember seeing tabs of Little Wing when I was a kid, and it scaring me seeing, you know, 5/5, you know, 5 on the first string, 5 on the second string, all these hammer-ons, and it looked so scary when you would see see all that kind of stuff, you know. But I kind of came to Jimmy a little bit backwards, you know. I was very much into Stevie Ray Vaughan, and from Stevie Ray Vaughan got into Jimi Hendrix. Obviously, I was very much aware of Jimi Hendrix when I was a younger player. I started playing guitar in the mid '90s, and I remember seeing footage. I remember seeing the Isle of Wight footage, you know, and that was unfortunately about 3 weeks before he passed away. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, I think, by the time he went on stage. He hadn't slept much, you know. It wasn't a good time for him. And it was out of tune. You could hear radio interference coming through the speakers. It was a bit of a shambles, you know. And I remember in about, oh God, the year 2000, so it would have been the 30th anniversary of Hendrix's passing. And it's soon to be the 50th. But I remember BBC Two did Hendrix Night, and they showed the Woodstock performance. And in seeing that, I was like, oh, I get it. Even though that was about 8 o'clock in the morning. But he was on it, you know, on that. Obviously, the Star Spangled Banner, that's now a legend performance. But if you watch the whole thing, he's really on it, you know. And there's that bit, I think it's just called Woodstock Improvisation, and he's going off on one. And then at the beginning of the video, I did that kind of, and he's doing the kind of cycle of fifths going on there. Whatever he's doing. It's incredible, all right? So, yeah, he's definitely been, you can't play the guitar and not be influenced by Jimi Hendrix. So let me show you some little ideas, because I was going to play a whole piece like I usually do. I learn a solo of, you know, these players in this series I do. I didn't do it with Jimmy because the Hendrix estate are quite picky on songs, and I didn't want the video taken down. So I thought I'd just do an ala idea and a backing track and all that kind of stuff. So the backing track I'll be putting on my Patreon page. So if you're following me on Patreon, or would like to, link will be in the description box below. Check it out, and you can have the backing track of what I put together. But before that, I did a little kind of clean passage. So that kind of, those kind of ideas, you know. So the chords are D, A, B minor, and I'm going C. And then sometimes I did C sharp, back to D again. Now on my website, I've got a lesson on the cage system for major chords. Strongly recommend that. I'm not going to go into this in this video. It'll be a very, very, very long video, but I recommend getting your cage down. If you want to go to my website, mikebradleymusic.com, you can get a video explaining the major cage system. But that's basically, you know, I'm kind of, you're doing your chords, and you're doing the kind of parent scales around that. So if I'm in D, now just hit an A note. B minor, and then C, then back to D again, you know. So if you got your D, so I'm on the D there, sliding 7 to 9, and then kind of barring on the 7th fret, if you think, shape 1, there's an A, major chord, 9, 10 on the 3rd and 2nd string, sliding 11, 12, and then playing 11 on the 4th string. And there's shape 4 of A major. Now I'm going to the B. You've got B minor pentatonic going on there. Then we've got a C. And then we go going back to D. So you're kind of toying around with them. So if you have a D, so you kind of want to make sure you can play that, you know, just the chords on their own first before trying to put the widdly diddly stuff in. Then I always like that if you see the Monterey Pop Festival and he does the like a Rolling Stone, and I'd always love those little things, you know. And I remember thinking the tone, how you get that sound, you know, and it'll go from a big sound and it'll go quiet again. And that is where the volume knob comes in. So if I, in the video, I've gone through many pedals today. At the moment, I've got the Vemuram fuzz, the Myriad fuzz going on. But I used the pedal pawn on the clean bit, and I used this great Haze 67 when I was playing this guitar at the beginning of the video. And I've got, oh God, yeah, I'll just go between those three pedals. But at the moment, I've got the Vemuram on. And so if I turn the volume down, if I do like chord progression again, right, so the volume is on about 4 or 5. And then if I turn up a little bit more, now if I turn up a little bit more, go a bit more, all by leaving that pedal on. And I remember just watching, you know, especially the Monterey Pop Festival, and I loved that. I was like, why is that warm sound happening? And then he's getting this big screeching sound. And if you watch Hendrix, you know, he played with a wah and a fuzz to start with. And then he ended up getting a univibe, which I've got here. Those kind of swirly psychedelic sounds. And then he had a, what else did he have? Then he had an Octavia going on. Actually, Octavia was on the first album as well. But, you know, predominantly, obviously, this is 1966 and 1970. So, you know, obviously there's the talk. He'd have load of effects. Who knows? But what he did to get the tones at the time is, you know, he'll have his Marshalls, guns, you know, or not always guns. Sometimes, you know, if you turn them on, he'll have it kind of clean, and have his fuzz, so leave it on all the time and just control it with the volume pedal there. Sorry, the volume control. So that is a big, big part of his sound, kind of leaving his fuzz pedal on. And then getting his clean sound. That way. Right, I've changed guitars because now I'm in E flat. Alright, so now I've actually put another fuzz in. So this is the Haze 67 I've got down here, which is a really, really cool pedal. So If you watched a Berkeley performance, and when he got to like 69, 70, he started kind of morphing into different scales other than the pentatonic. You'd hear Phrygian. So there. So an E Phrygian scale, I'm an E flat right now, I should say as well. But an E Phrygian scale is from the C major. So E Phrygian is E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So if you're an E, and you start throwing it, those kind of Phrygian sounds in your pentatonics, it gets this very, well, Eastern kind of sound. And again, that manipulating the volume knob. I'm a voodoo child. So that's another thing, all right? That kind of vocal. Jimmy, when he would sing, he'd be playing the guitar at the same time. Think of Voodoo Child. No, Voodoo Child, what it did. It's like Return, the second one, you know. So he'll be singing that at the same time, and in the bluesy version, and you can hear, you know, if you listen to that song, you can hear, at times you can hear the amp just roaring when he's not playing. You can hear it is roaring, that amp, with the great fuzz going on as well. So incorporating, you know, these Eastern scales, Phrygian, in with your pentatonics, you know, Eric Clapton wasn't doing that back then. You know, Jimmy was seeking out, you know, he would listen to jazz guys, he'd listen to Miles Davis was a big influence, you know. And then what I did at the beginning of the video, when I did the infamous Hendrix kind of bend, where you bend the string, so I'm bending up this D, and then I'm getting the third string and flipping over, and because it's bent up, you're bringing it back down. And I love this kind of start. When you get to about 68, 69 to unfortunately 70, his last year alive, you can hear this development. You hear him in 66, and he comes out, Monterey Pop Festival, and the thing with this fuzz, you can't see if it's on or not. There we go. And he's coming out, doing all this kind of stuff. Do that kind of stuff, and he's got that great bluesy tone, and it was all predominantly pentatonics. And then a couple of years later, studying, I remember seeing this at the Hendrix flat. You see his record collection, and he was listening to everything from jazz to classical to funk to, you know, country. He was listening to it all, and that's the thing. Again, if I go back to that R&B style guitar, he was getting that from Steve Cropper and the R&B guys, you know, where they're playing the rhythm, the lead, and you sound like two guitar players. It's fantastic. Now, I expect you know the Hendrix Chord. That's how cool this guy is. He's got a chord named after him, you know. So that's a D7 sharp 9, all right? So it's a dominant chord, D7, and you're sharpening a ninth. In fact, it's a jazz chord. Jazz guys do that all over the place. All right, so straight away you're in that Hendrix school, you know, and the track with the backing track, I had that. A la Crosstown Traffic, but that's in standard tuning, not E flat, but I can't bother to change. But there's another chord he did a lot, which was this one. So if you think of a G chord, so if I go from the full string 5, 4, 3, and then no, barred it, there's a G chord, right? But we're now going to put our 9 on there on the A note, and then we don't need to be barring on the second string on the first string anymore. But then we do an open G. Great sound. I'll put a bit of univibe on there. So that's kind of the I suppose the secret second Hendrix chord. This kind of 9, major 9 chord. But he moves it around, you know, Carson made a sound. And getting a univibe, anything swirly, univibe, phase. What else have I got with that? Oh, a flanger. I didn't use it in this, but flanger's cool. Anything what gets that psychedelic whoa, 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 whoa kind of sound is fantastic for that Hendrix tone. So what we got here, we've got rhythm and lead, that kind of rhythm playing. So that's all D I'm doing now. I'm just thinking D as a D chord. I'm thinking D major all over the place. Now if I go to an A chord, I go to B minor, G, So rhythm lead playing, that R&B beautiful guitar playing, sounding like more than one guitar player. Then you got the kind of vocal-esque lead guitar playing mixed with Phrygian. And he would use the ninth a lot. He'll do that a lot, that F sharp in the case of E. And you'll see him kind of... And what is a really cool lick actually he plays in the Woodstock. And I've done a video on this, but I'll show you now. You know, when he kind of... Jimmy would see the whole neck. He wouldn't think in terms of boxes. You see him and he's all over the place. And so here we've got shape 1. But he's not going. He's thinking. And I got a feeling like with the Hendrix bend, he's thinking like harmonica players and things like that. So, and he's really pinching on the string here as well. He's probably, you know, just a little bit of pick coming out. I'm on middle and bridge pickup here. So 12 on the first, 12 on the second, 12 on the third, bend that, and then play the E. Then we got E note on the 14th fret, then on the B note on the 14th fret on the 5th string, 12, slide back to 11. Kind of pentatonic-y. Then you see, no, he's barring on that 14th fret, 17, 16, 14 on both, D chords. Great lick. And last but not least, you know, is his funk rhythm playing. You know, his rhythm playing in general was incredible. And so with that backing track piece, let me change guitar and play the guitar I played it on. So here I've got a D7 sharp 9, then an A, G sharp, G, 7, then C, C sharp, then back to D, 7 sharp 9 again. Really cool. And when he played, like I was talking about with Killing Floor, he's got his whole wrist super loose, and he'd be hitting more than one string, you know. And then this went on to influence John Frusciante, Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Mayer, Joe down the road, Fred down the road, Paul down the road, Karen. He's influenced everyone, you know, where you're keeping... You know, you're muting out the strings, you know, the note you want to be ringing out, you know. So I'm not going... I'm not doing that because it sounds a bit... but... You know. And I'm muting out, no, here. Everything now is muted, just a 6 string. God, this guitar sounds good. It sounds better than that one, 100%. Single coils, lay center pickups. I get it. And I should say, actually, before I wrap up here on back to tone, obviously, Jimmy was a Strat guy, you know. This is a Strat type guitar. That was a Strat there. These are true, single coil pickups. But he did play Gibsons as well, obviously. Very much documented, Flying V's and SG's. I've seen pictures of him with a Les Paul. I don't think he played many Les Pauls, mainly because it would have been very limited for him to play an upside down Les Paul, you know, with not having a cutaway there. So with a flying V or an SG, obviously you've got a lot more access up there. And you know, when I listen to All on the Watchtower, I kind of hear it as a humbucker. It's probably an SG or a flying V. So just because we see him, you think Strat, and he was obviously a Strat guy. He did like his humbuckers. He liked his flying Vs and SGs, especially flying Vs. You know, when he played blues, a lot of times he changed to a humbucker Gibson guitar. I know he played Red House with a Strat at Woodstock, but a lot of the other times you'll see him change. There's a Stockholm footage of him playing, and he'll change and put on the SG for when he did the blues, you know, when he did Red House. So, you know, tone is in the hands. First album he's in standard tuning, then he went down to E flat. He played in D as well. He'll sometimes play in between, because back then they didn't have tuners. You know, they had pitchforks and their ears, you know, tuned to a piano and get that way. So, you know, there's no tab then. So for him, like I kind of briefly mentioned about how I think it's kind of a harmonica kind of sound, you know, or Elmore James. That kind of cool sound, you know. So hopefully you're hearing there, by me changing my volume pot, I'm getting so many different varieties of sounds going on there. You know, now I'm super clean. So much fun to have with a volume control. Anyway guys, I hope you get something from this video, and you know, some little ideas which I picked up from the great man Jimi Hendrix over the years, and which I continue to pick up. Every time you listen to him, you hear something new. And my favourite things is that in between the songs, I really like with that lick, you know, so when you check out live recordings, hear the little bits in between. You know, you've got your songs, but obviously he'll do his big, you know, all out there solos and stuff, but then when he'll get down to it, the licks he had, there's some great footage. Actually, I wish I listened to it before I filmed this video now, but at the Royal Albert Hall, and I think before he goes on to play Red House, which again, actually playing a Strat, but oh, it's so hard to remember now, but there's some stuff there, the playing he's got there is incredible, he's playing, and the little licks he's doing, he'll kind of go in between. You know, so that's a Red House lick. He's thinking of the chords. Whatever, all right? So he wasn't just a lick guy. He was he studied music. He really studied music. So the whole, you know, don't want to know theory, Jimmy knew his theory. He knew what was going on. He might not know it regarding words, could he conveyed in colour a lot. He would speak a lot in colour. So, but he listened to so much music, the way I hear it, you can just hear that how he evolved as a guitar player from, you know, a sideman to what he became, you know. Anyway, I'll let you be. Hope that helped. Hope that gives you a little insight. Check out some cool live footage of Jimmy. Check out the Royal Albert Hall footage, and if you can find it, but more importantly the audio of it. Check it out and yeah, get listening. Anyway, I've been Mike Bradley. Hope you're good and well. I'll see you soon. Bye. Faded away.